I want to share a very personal story with you. And it's about a moment in my life and a realization. I was 15, mega crisis and tragedy had occurred. And this realization was probably the most important and critical one I've ever had. It was a realization that is almost the starting point in our lives, in when we're making a decision or wanting to make a change or overcome something, that without it, I know I would not have had nearly as much success in life, in all parts of life, as I've had. And the thing of it is, what I've noticed in all those years since I was 15, and by the way, I didn't share this story with anyone until a couple of years ago. I believe that this is the kind of thing that in all those intervening years, I'm like, I don't think many people know this, or they look past it. It's so basic. In fact, some people might even go, well, duh. But when you really think about it, and when you really apply it, it makes all the difference in the world in taking that first step and overcoming, improving, succeeding, whatever, everything. And make sure that you're going in the right direction and with the right attitude. I'm going to share it with you, and now, as a result of that, you'll have it too. Stand by.
Helping you find your new way forward to the best years of your life. This is a New Way Forward podcast with your host, Paul Long.
So here's my story. So I'm 15 years old, living in Dallas, Texas. And I'm pretty wayward. I mean, yeah, I'm a teenager and stuff, but you know, high school is boring for me except for a couple of classes. I'm not the most responsible person in the world. You know, it's not like I'm doing drugs or I'm in a gang or something like that, but I'm doing stupid stuff too. And my brother and sister are a fair amount older than I am, so they're already gone. They're out living their lives. So I'm at home with my mother and father. Things are going to crap with them. They're going to get a divorce. My mother's having some challenges of her own, and my father's overtasking himself with work and taking care of, really being concerned about me. And also, we were very, 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 very close. You know, we go to Dallas Cowboy games, we go fishing, we'd spend a lot of time together. And I think he picked me up from soccer practice. It was one afternoon in the summer in Dallas, and I can even tell you the block on PV Road we're on as we're driving. And something I was supposed to do, and I think this had probably not been the first time that I had failed to do it, and I can see him right now. And he leaned over, you know, he's driving, but he leans over and says, you know what? Someday I'm not going to be here to take care of this for you. Well, he was right. Because a few weeks later, he was dead. He died suddenly. And that was tough, as you can imagine. I went through all the phases of grief very quickly. And then add to that my mother's mother, my grandmother, died 2 weeks after that. And so my mother was really in a bad place. And I'm like, I am screwed. I am screwed big time. What the hell am I going to do? What the hell am I going to do? I was aware of the fact that I have this wayward life and that now I'm in this situation. So one night, probably about 1 a.m, you know, I can't sleep because I'm scared to death about this. And I snuck out of the house, and about 2 blocks away was this park, and that's why this setting is so appropriate, because it was on a steep hill that went down to White Rock Lake in Dallas, and you could see, you know, downtown in the distance. And I'm sitting there pretty much feeling sorry for myself and how screwed I am, and thinking, what am I going to do? And that's when, I mean, it literally hit me like that. And when I say hit me, not just a thought in my head, a feeling, a realization, an epiphany, whatever you want to call it. And that was that no one's going to save you, Paul. No one's going to save you. Your dad's gone, and then it hit me, and he couldn't save you either. this is all on you, dude. This is 100% all on you. And two things about that. First of all, especially for you, is I realized that this was freaking reality. This is life. Each one of us as individuals, only we can save ourselves. Only we can take responsibility for our lives and what we do, what we pursue, whether we succeed or fail, how we overcome. Only we can do it. Only we can save ourselves. Now, can we have support and love and encouragement and help from others? Hell yeah. But I mean, in that situation, you know, who else was I really even going to get it from? My mother was not in a great place. My brother and sister, I mean, yeah, I could talk to them on the phone. Back then, you know, it was expensive to do long distance calls. And didn't have any other family around in Dallas. And I had all my friends who were very supportive, but they're also 15 years old. Only I could save myself. The thing of it is, in that moment, I wasn't scared. I wasn't daunted by it. In fact, I hate to use this term, but it was empowering. And it just, again, it's kind of hard to explain, but it made it simple. You can't be more simple than that. It was so frigging basic. Paul, it's up to you. Now, I'd love to tell you that this is the moment where, you know, like in a movie, you have the musical montage of action, you know, like in Rocky, you know, where it's like, okay, I'm going to do this, and, you know, cue Maynard Ferguson and the Rocky theme, and, you know, he's running and punching sides of beef and running up the stairs and all that stuff. No, that didn't happen at all. That did not happen at all. Because for the next 3 years, high school was high school. And for my senior year, my mother remarried. And I had to move to Columbia, South Carolina. From Dallas to Columbia, South Carolina. But which actually turned out pretty well. But the point of it was that I didn't realize it at the time, but I was biding my time. Because within 4 days of graduation, I'm back in Dallas. And I'm starting school shortly thereafter. And that's when it clicked in. And, you know, it almost wasn't a conscious effort. It's almost like my inner self, my subconscious, whatever the hell it was. Or just this awareness that, okay, it's up to me. Nobody's going to save me. It's now all up to me. And I wanted that. I wanted that empowerment. If something gets screwed up, let it be my fault. And going through school and college, having the responsibility to take it on and to handle my own issues and to think things through and think for the future. And that, you know, I wanted to go into the news business. So actually putting in, you know, the effort to figure out what skills do I need to learn, what talents do I need to develop, how does the business work, all of that stuff I did. And then throughout life, that's worked. When I met Kim, my college sweetheart, and we were still together, you know, building a relationship, going through the challenges of a relationship, and children, and a career pivot, and, you know, a personal crisis that I had, and all that other kind of stuff. I mean, it's like I've always realized, for me, and I've seen it in everybody else, that those people who succeed at overcoming, those people who succeed in life, not just careers, but life, that to whatever degree of awareness, they are taking responsibility. No one can save me, it's only me. It's the people who are looking for the silver bullets or the help, or, you know, blaming it on, well, my problems are my problems, it's this person's fault, or it's the government's fault, you know. I mean, yeah, those, they can be causal, but only you can save yourself from that problem. You take my point here? And, you know, I want to give you a little sidebar story here that happened just a few months after my father died. And it was a Friday night. I went over to a friend's house, a couple of friends, Robert and Eddie. And we're sitting in his backyard, and they'd copped some beers, okay? And we're sitting back there, and Eddie and Robert, they were friends, but they weren't like close friends. They were like, tier 2 friends or whatever. And Eddie, man, I could tell that they both talked about talking to me about this. And they're like, dude, you're a friend. We really care about you. Can't imagine what you're going through. We loved your dad. He was so cool. I can't imagine what it's like, but we got to tell you, you're acting pretty effed up lately. I mean, you're just acting weird, dude. It's not good. Well, inside, fortunately, I kept my mouth shut. Inside, I'm sitting there going, who are you to tell me this? What do you know about me? What do you know about this? Hey, maybe you're not acting so blah, 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 blah. But fortunately, I kept my mouth shut and I listened. And then I said, okay, let me think about that. I'm going to go for a walk and think about that. What I really wanted to do was to get out of there for a little while to calm down, because I didn't want to attack them. I didn't want to tell them what was in my head. Well, I'd say a half block later, it hit me again. They're right. They were right. They were being the best kind of friend that you could hope for. The lesson that I learned is that sometimes you don't want to hear it, but you need to hear it. And I needed to hear it. And so sure enough, I did calm down, and I came back and I thanked them. And that's been a lesson that I've learned throughout my whole life, is that, somebody might tell me that. And by the way, sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes they're full of crap. But there have been very often when people have helped me by calling me out on something, and I still get upset internally about it, but I know to wait till tomorrow morning and then listen to them. Okay, why did I bring in that story besides the fact that that's a good lesson for all of us? That's what being responsible for yourself and knowing only you can save you is, that you've got to be open to all the possibilities. You've got to be open to all the sources. You've got to be open to the fact that it's not there isn't a silver bullet out there. There isn't a quick fix. There isn't, like on YouTube, here's how you can make $1 million in a week by using this technique with Facebook ads. Or here's how you can lose 100 pounds in a week by just taking this little supplement. That doesn't work. Or like me, thinking, no, it's this deeply involved, complicated, time-consuming thing. Sometimes it's really freaking basic and simple. And that when you realize that only you can save yourself and all that means, that gives you the responsibility, that gives you the empowerment, that makes you aware that there ain't something floating out there. There might be an idea, there might be someone who can help or support, yes, but that ultimately it's got to come from you. And I know in all the intervening multitude of decades since then, that has been the secret to me having, a successful life, of being a good father, of being good at what I did professionally, of being a good companion and husband, of being a good friend, of overcoming adversity or avoiding it. That it starts and ends with you. It starts and ends with me. It's really simple. It's really powerful to be able to have this baseline realization and apply it throughout your entire life to have the life you want, need, and deserve.
Learn more ways to enhance your life and discover a new way forward that's perfect for you by watching these videos or any others on my channel. Oh, and be sure to subscribe.